Good morning, everyone. It brings me great pleasure on behalf of the Board of Directors of BEBA to welcome you to this webinar on Export Credit Agency, Empowering International Trade and Supporting Businesses in Challenging Time. Our distinguished guest speakers are Yasmine El Hosseiny, Strategic Planning Director, Ebank, and Mohamed Saad, the Country Head of UK Finance in Egypt. They will both discuss the services that both organizations will provide to the business community. The webinar will be moderated by Nadeem Habib, Director and Head of FIG and Public Sector and Government-Related Entities at HSBC Bank. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our main sponsors, Ebank and UK Finance, and our event partners, New Era, Swiss National Bank, Tatweer, Vodafone, Banque du Caire, CIB, GSK. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Nadeem Habib, who's going to moderate the session.
Thank you, Nadia. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by introducing myself and my esteemed panelists. So my name is Nadeem Habib. I head up the financial institutions and public sector business at HSBC Egypt. I've been working with HSBC for almost 20 years across different parts of the bank, and I've been in my current role since 2017. Today, I'm joined by Yasmine El Hosseiny, the Strategic Planning Director of Export Development Bank of Egypt. Besides her role at Export Development Bank, Yasmina also has responsibility and oversight over the Export Credit Guarantee Company of Egypt, which is considered as the country's export credit agency. Yasmina has gained diversified experience in the banking sector across retail, corporate banking, and strategy, and has been in her current role since 2019. We're also joined today by Mohamed Saad, who is the country head of UK Export Finance, based in Cairo. Mohamed has been in his current role for around 2 years, and he has extensive experience working with commercial banks in previous roles, both in Egypt and GCC. So in this panel, we'll aim to cover how export credit agencies, specifically Export Credit Guarantee Company of Egypt and UK Export Finance, can drive and empower international trade and support businesses during challenging times. Many of the Egyptian corporates, as we all know, now they're considering expanding into new markets to increase their exports and foreign currency sources. So how can Export Development Bank, UK Export Finance, and Export Credit Guarantee Company of Egypt help companies achieve this objective? And how can ECAs, specifically UK Export Finance, can help corporates access competitive financing packages? We'll aim to address those questions over the next 40 to 45 minutes. Following that, we'll open the floor for Q&A for 10 to 15 minutes, where you will be able to type your questions in the chat box. So now let's make a start. Yasmina, let me start by you. Can you walk us through the role of Export Development Bank of Egypt in promoting and supporting clients who would like to increase exports?
Thank you very much, Nadeem, for the introduction. Thanks, Nadia, for the opportunity, and welcome to all the 45 audience. I'm very pleased to be with you today. Shedding the light on Export Development Bank's role in promoting exports, the bank has been in the market for almost 40 years. Our main role, our main mandate is to boost Egyptian exports through various tools. In essence, our market share and our role in promoting export has been playing a very, very big role in this landscape, reflected in our market share, whereby we enjoy 10% of trade finance, or specifically export finance market share. And this market share has been growing year on year, started, for example, back in 2019, we are enjoying an 8% market share, while 2022, we are enjoying 10% market share, noting that non-oil experts have been growing exponentially during this period. On the other side, we are playing also an integral role in disbursing export subsidy among only 4 banks in Egypt. We are enjoying 30% market share of export subsidy disbursement to clients. We have disbursed these 3 tranches throughout 2020, 21, and 22, and we have mostly around 500 exporters have been enjoying this disbursement through our channels. On a separate front, our role in supporting experts was reflected also in breeding so many experts in the landscape of trade finance, LGs, LCs, import LCs, export LCs as well. So we are the export experts when it comes to trade finance in specific, and this role is not only reflected on our market share, but it's also reflected on our client base. Most of our clients, around 65 to 70% of our clients are exporters. And it was reflected on many awards that have been granted to Ebank, like GTR Award back in 2019. As a continuation of this mandate, we are thinking strategically to grow this role and to have it in a wider scope that I will discuss with you later today through our webinar.
Thank you, Yasmina. Staying with you as well, can you give us an example of how a client can benefit from your offering?
Well, if we speak about ECAs in particular, as you mentioned at the outset, one of our subsidiaries, fully owned, 70% owned subsidiary is EGE, Export Guarantee of Egypt. So the Export Guarantee of Egypt is working as an ECA, but it's not a full-fledged ECA because it does not get subsidy from the government. However, its vision is to be the one-stop shop for the protection against risk of trade and investments in Egypt and abroad. So this company was established back in 1992, and its main focus is to provide insurance services for exporters, because most of exporters conduct or run their exports not only through avalized IDCs or letters of credit, whereby by virtue of these 2 tools you guarantee your proceeds. But some other clients and other countries, they don't have avalization or LCs easily. So maybe its exports are done through open accounts. And in this case, the risk is quite high. So to mitigate this risk, EGE is the sole shop for insurance against export collection. This is one of the services provided by EGE, among other services. EGE is E- rated, and it is by MERIS, and it is regulated by FRA. The export-related services provided by EGE are trade credit insurance. We provide trade credit insurance for collection of invoices, whereby tenor is up to 180 days. And we also provide contract frustration insurance, which is also providing insurance for contracts, not for invoices. The beauty of these 2 services is that you can even back or provide these insurance as a guarantee for working capital facility at Ebank. So I think this is the the unique proposition that we can provide to our exporters who exports through invoices, not the letter of credit or other IDCs. On another front, we provide financial institution-related insurance like leasing insurance, factoring, microfinance, and consumer finance insurance. Also, we provide fair calling of bonding insurance, supplier credit facility, buyer credit facility, and SME finance insurance. I think one of the non-financial services that are quite unique and demanded by exporters is the country risk assessment and claims and collection. The country risk assessment is a type of research or market intelligence that we provide to exporters who are trying to grow their footprint in regions whereby the risk is quite high, or they don't know full data about the country. So we provide these researches in order to reduce the risk or mitigate it partially. Also, we help with the claim and collection for bad debt that are not collected for more than 6 months from maturity date of invoice. And this is also a very unique proposition that can help mitigate the collection risk in some geographies. This is in a nutshell and the full proposition of export guarantee of Egypt.
Thank you, Yasmina, for the comprehensive response. I'm sure there will be a lot of interest and perhaps a lot of questions on this at the end of the webinar.
My pleasure.
Mohamed, moving to you. For those who don't know, can you provide us a background on what is UK Export Finance and how is UK Export Finance is able to support and help businesses and trade flows?
Sure. Thank you, Nadeem, for the introduction. Thank you, Nadia and the team for organizing that. It's a pleasure being here today. Good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, UK Export Finance, or UCAF for short, as we call it. UCAF is a British governmental department, and it's the first export credit agency in history with more than 100 years of experience. Our mission is to advance prosperity by ensuring no viable UK export fails for the lack of finance or insurance. So we work with commercial banks, we work with private sector insurers to avail finance and insurance to UK exporters and to the overseas buyers of UK goods and services. Our reputation is as one of the most flexible and innovative ECAs in the world, and I'll tell you why we have this reputation. We offer support and finance, and we don't offer subsidies or grants, because this is very important mistake or wrong perception about ECAs. Also, we don't compete with commercial banks. We complement commercial banks and work with them. So you asked how we can support business and trade flows. Actually, our products and our support falls broadly into two categories. The first one is very similar to what Yasmina mentioned about EGE, supporting the exporters, we are supporting the UK exporters by availing short-term finance in the form of working capital, bonding support, insurance for their export contracts. So it's very similar to what EGE is offering to Egyptian exporter, but we are offering to British exporter in the UK. The second category, which is my main focus as country head for Egypt, is the support we provide to the overseas buyers or EPC contractors with at least 20% UK content in their projects. We can offer financing over long tenures, can reach up to 22 years with a very competitive interest rates, and this will give a competitive edge for the UK supply chain. So how it works, the most common way is that we provide a guarantee from UK Export Finance. The guarantee is issued 100% from the government of UK. And this guarantee will be provided to the bank financing the project. So we are guaranteeing the non-payment of the borrower or the project itself to the bank. So on the back of this guarantee, the bank is simply substituting the risk of the project or the borrower by the risk of the UK government, and that allows them to offer very competitive interest rates and long terms. So that's very simply how our support works. And the main focus of the international network, which I'm part of, is the long-term finance to the overseas buyers in the countries we are active at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. As a follow-on question, what is the current appetite of UK Export Finance for the clients who are based in Egypt? And also, what are your sectors of focus?
So we have a great appetite to Egypt. We have a country cover for Egypt up to 2 billion sterling pound. We know it's a challenging time, but we have the confidence in the Egyptian economy. We know that the fundamentals are strong and the potential are there. So we have a big appetite. We actually are open to all sectors. So we follow the government strategic priorities in terms of sectors. We see that currently in Egypt, the water sector is maybe comes first in terms of priorities. Energy, renewable and hydrogen, green hydrogen is a big thing, and the transportation continues to boom since 2016. So we're following the priorities of the government, and we're happy and open to all sectors except the fossil fuel or oil and gas, because as you know, we have some commitment toward climate change. Just to give you evidence about our appetite for Egypt, in 2021, we have supported the Cairo monorail project with 1.7 billion sterling pound. And at that time, it was the biggest overseas infrastructure project UKEF has ever supported. So that shows you how much appetite we have toward Egypt. So we're keen to do more. We have a very strong pipeline with different stakeholders. And also we're helping the Egyptian contractors and EPCs to pursue opportunities in Africa, not only Egypt, given that Egypt is the gateway to Africa. So we're working with EPCs to open up opportunities in different countries in Africa and across the world.
Thank you, Mohammed. You've always touched based on sustainability and ESG policies, and we'll come back to that in more details. Yasmina, back to you. Can you explain Export Development Bank services and how you can support exporters penetrate new markets?
Well, for the time being, we have our trade finance proposition and strength and limits with other banks, other financial institutions, which helps a lot enjoying good, or I would say distinguished trade finance services across the globe. In the future, we are thinking of doing some sort of backward and forward integration to this proposition in order to include the full journey of exporter since the outset of the deal or the export transaction till closure and collection. So by this we mean exporter is any exporter or potential exporter is looking after a full proposition to initiate the transaction and the deal, to find buyers, to agree on the terms, to deliver, to do the collection and repeat this transaction over again with different buyers in different geographies. In order to do so, the bank is supposed to provide beyond banking services. And this beyond banking services is on our radar to be launched by Q1 2024, whereby the backward and forward integration will help increase customers' loyalty, facilitate the journey, and enhance Egyptian exports to reach 100 billion as the vision of the country. So our support here is not going to be only on the financial side. It will be on the matchmaking side, either digitally or face-to-face. It will be on the services side by supporting our clients in getting better deals with regards to shipment and insurance services, on providing export-related products. Like financing trade shows and exhibitions and brokers and matchmaking services, maybe providing services in time whereby we have high traffic and low presence of banks throughout the year. Also, we are very keen on customer development. We are keen to raise their awareness about experts. We are trying to provide the best-in-class training for export managers to be ready to meet global standards when negotiating Incoterms, negotiating export terms, and also we are keen to discuss under one roof all subjects related to exports, either regulatory or non-regulatory or sector-based. So we wish to become the exporters' go-to bank to grow exports and to go beyond Egyptian borders. So that's a brief about our proposition, which has so many details, and I'm happy to discuss it if anyone needs more details.
Thank you, Yasmine, and very interesting. And I'm sure a lot of the attendees, they're not aware of the full spectrum of services that you offer. So thank you for that. Mohamed, back to sustainability. So I know sustainable finance has been a growing theme in recent years, especially at UK Export Finance, where you have been one of the leading ECAs globally in embedding ESG policies in your lending activities. Can you expand on this and explain what is UKF strategy in the sustainable finance area?
Yeah, it's a hot topic, to be honest, and as you know, UK as a government was the first major economy to commit to net zero by 2050 and pass into a domestic law for requirements for net zero. So now UKF is also committed to achieve net zero across our portfolio and operations by 2050. We have provided 3.6 billion of support, 3.6 billion sterling pound of support to sustainable projects in 2021. We're very keen to do more in that space. We have a very strong pipeline in sustainable finance with our partners bank. And that's why, as I mentioned, we stopped financing or supporting oil and gas and fossil fuel. Definitely, we can support the transition from traditional fossil fuel to renewables. But any new project with fossil fuel output, we will not be able to support. It's also worth to touch base on, as you know, we are regulated as an ECA by OECD. And it's worth mention that OECD recently, they have done some modernization of the rules. And this modernization gave more benefits to sustainable projects, to clean growth projects in terms of tenors mainly. So any project that can be labeled as green can access tenor of 22 years now, up from 18 years, plus the construction period. So we're very close to the concessional finance tenors here. And this benefits, I can say that it's encouraging a lot of project sponsors to start working on their clean growth projects. So that's what we have done, 3.6 billion sterling pound. I think this year, this financial year, will be more. We have assigned a pot of direct lending. So beside the buyer credit, the guarantee that we are offering, we assigned the direct lending pot to clean growth projects where we finance from the UK Treasury funds directly through a commercial bank as an administrator. And this will avail fixed interest rate finance to the project sponsor, which is another benefit for clean growth projects. So that's what we are doing. That's what we reached, and hopefully in the near future we'll see more sustainable and clean growth projects. By the way, the Cairo monorail is one of the green projects. It's considered as a green transport mode, so it's one of the green projects we have financed recently. So yeah, hopefully we can do more in the coming period.
So Mohamed, what are some of the concrete steps, or what are the requirements for EPC contractors or clients who would like to access UK export finance support and get like a competitive financing backed by UK export finance? What are some of the concrete steps that would be required by them?
Here I'll tell you why we are considered as one of the most flexible ECAs. We require 20% UK content in any project. And this is a very low percentage compared to other ECAs, as you know, Nadeem. So other ECAs require 45, 80%, and some ECAs require 100% local content. So we require only 20% UK content, and this can be in any form, goods or services or even intangibles. Definitely, we do the normal due diligence and the credit assessment any financier will do. And one important step or requirement is the ESG assessment, environmental, social, and governance assessment, which is becoming more important and heavyweight in the process of assessment. So I'll encourage any project sponsor to start working on the ESG assessment as early as possible, because it takes time. So that's simply the requirement you need. And once you have a brief about the project itself, the stakeholders of the projects, who will be the borrower, just get in touch with us, share with us the information. Even if you are not very sure about the UK content that will be in your project, we can help in that. So normally I would encourage any project sponsor to reach out to us as early as possible with the information they have, and we will help in identifying the potential UK content. We will help with the support of the Department of Business and Trade at the British government to identify potential suppliers and putting the project sponsor in contact with the potential British suppliers to satisfy the UK content requirement. And we do that through one-to-one format, or we can do some sort of a supplier fair where we gather all the suppliers in a specific sector and ask the project sponsor to present the project to them, and then the commercial and technical discussion will follow after that. So yeah, that's mainly it. On the website, on our website, you can find the cover limits for all countries that we are active at. You can find the contact details of the country heads and regional heads that cover the country you are exploring, and just reach out to them with the information you have, and they can help in shaping the finance structure and the projects going ahead.
Thank you. So it's very interesting that you also do matchmaking between clients and potential suppliers, exactly like Yasmine, an Export Development Bank as well. So that's very interesting. So from what I've heard, the requirements from UK export finance perspective is basically two things: 20% procurement from the UK and an environmental assessment, or what we call environmental social impact assessment.
Yes. So the 20% UK content, this is the minimum, absolute minimum. Normally we try to increase it, but starting 20%, we can look into the project. ESG is very important, and definitely the normal credit assessment and normal due diligence we do on the stakeholders.
Okay, thank you. Yasmina, back to you. We've heard about some changes coming up for Export Credit Guarantee Company of Egypt. Can you tell us about the future plans for the company? You're on mute.
Yes, it's always my pleasure to speak about EGE because actually we believe that this mandate is crucial and very strategic to the country as a whole and to any exporter. Within the capabilities, the limited capabilities that we had, being 70% owned subsidiary company with quite limited proposition, I believe. It is not like Mohamed Saad's proposition, which is quite wide. The Central Bank of Egypt perceived this company as an opportunity to grow exports, as an opportunity or an arm to support exporters grow globally with lower risk. So currently, EGE is in the stage of doing some sort of due diligence in order to be fully acquired by the Central Bank of Egypt soon, whereby the proposition will be much stronger, the support will be full-fledged support, and the role that it will play will be fundamental for any exporter in Egypt to grow. So if we say in the past, I believe that within the existing capabilities, EGE played a very, very successful role. But having a different vision with a different scope and stepping Central Bank of Egypt into this mandate, I think it will give it a very, very strong push, and it will help us make a stride in the export landscape.
Okay, thank you. Mohamed, back to you. How can UK Export Finance support Egyptian companies looking to do business in other markets, which is a hot topic now for many Egyptian companies as they look into Africa or the Middle East? So what other markets are relevant for UK Export Finance and you have appetite for, which by you can support Egyptian companies expanding in those markets?
So we have appetite in countries across the world. Our international network currently, people like me, we have like 24, 25 regional heads across the globe with support from London team. If we focus more on Africa, which I know is very potential for a lot of Egyptian companies, we have a great appetite to Africa. We have a network of 6 regional heads across the continent. We have done a lot actually, and we know that the African states are in a dire need of vital infrastructure development. Funding gap is estimated around 108 billion US dollars per year for infrastructure development in Africa. So we believe that we have a role to play. We have appetite to mostly all African states, and the regional heads can help Egyptian companies who wants to explore opportunities in different countries, who has a valid project, a viable project that can be supported by UCAF. So we're working with a lot of EPCs, Egyptian EPCs, that in different parts of Africa. So just reach out to us and we can help in Africa. Again, the country cover can be accessed through our websites. It's public. So you can check the country that you are trading with or working in. If we have cover for it, then more than happy to start working with the EPC on the opportunity.
Thank you, Mohamed. And I know you're busy with few of those situations already, so hopefully they go through successfully.
Yeah, so the third country collaboration in general is part of our KPIs and part of our targets to work with third countries, not only contractors from UK. So Turkish contractors, Egyptian contractors, Brazilian contractors are more than welcome to apply for our support in different parts of the world.
Okay, thank you. So that's the final question before we open the floor for Q&A. And the final question will be to both of you, Mohammed and Yasmina. How can UK Export Finance and Export Credit Guarantee Company of Egypt cooperate to support Egyptian companies? So let's start by you, Yasmina.
Well, I believe that both of us, we have the same mandate. Our objectives are not conflicting each other, yet they are cross-arching, because I think exchanging referrals with regards to experts from both countries is a very good and beneficial collaboration, because the type of experts that Egypt do versus experts of UK industries are quite different, and it can complement each other in some sense. So I believe continuing in collaborating and integrating our client base, I think it will help a lot, bear a lot of fruits of this collaboration.
Thank you. Mohammed, moving to you.
Yeah, I totally agree with Yasmina, and actually we are working with different ECAs across the world in terms of co-financing projects, reinsurance with some other ECAs and financial institutions. We're working with development banks and multilaterals, so we're open to cooperate with everyone. And I believe that we are in a process of formulating some sort of memorandum of understanding or cooperation agreement with the EGE, and hopefully after the plan for EGE is implemented, we can officially announce that. But this is for your information. We are in the process of formulating some sort of cooperation, and hopefully that this will help the exporters in Egypt as well as the importers to explore opportunities and to help the trade between UK and Egypt.
Okay, thank you very much. I think now we've concluded our discussion, so let's open the floor for Q&A. Already there are some questions I'm receiving in the chat box. So let's start by the first question. So it's a question to Yasmina on Egyptian Credit Guarantee Company, whether its support applicable to a project under the free zone system. Can a company under the free zone system benefit from Export Credit Guarantee Company?
Yes, it can, with some limitations. So we can take it offline and do the credit assessment and get the general outline of the profile of the company and activity, and see how it can be compliant to enjoy the services provided by EGE. Glad to explore it.
Okay. Second question to you as well. Do you invest in projects capital? Do you put equity in projects?
It depends on how strategic these projects are. So also we can explore it if the details are available.
Okay. Question to you, Mohammed. If you're supporting Egyptian EPC companies to extend to Africa, do you also support Egyptian EPC companies in mega projects in Egypt?
Yeah, definitely. This is my main target, is to support projects in Egypt. This is the country I cover, so definitely we're keen and we have the appetite. Cover limit is up to 2 billion. The support can be in different structures, so we're open to different finance structure. We can support corporate finance, sovereign finance in case of the government lending, and project finance as well, with some criteria or requirements. But we're open to all finance structure, and we're open definitely to Egypt.
As long as the procurement is it's equivalent to requirements from the UK, correct?
Exactly, and I'm not stressing on the UK content piece, because we can work around it. We can help achieving it. So if the project is viable, if the project is meeting our criteria in terms of credit and ESG, we can work around the UK content. So just reach out to us and we'll help on achieving this.
Okay, I think the coming question is for Yasmina. Do you have a dedicated program for SMEs via vendor facilities and the like?
Can you please elaborate on the question?
Yeah, I think so. It's unclear to me as well. Maybe
yeah, maybe he means supplier finance, for example.
Definitely, yes. If it is related or supplier finance per se, yeah, definitely the answer is yes. Good question.
okay. Do you a question to you again, Yasmina? Do you have a focus for specific sectors? How does such focus align with the structural strength of the Egyptian economy?
Definitely, our interest for sectors reflects the Egyptian GDP and the exports of Egypt. As you all know, most of Egyptian exports are non-oil exports are concentrated in the food and beverage, for example. Hence, our financing goes more to this sector to service the exporters, either large or small or medium, to finance their working capital needs, to their medium-term needs, their capex needs as well. So our portfolio and our risk appetite reflects the Egyptian economy's needs and concentration.
Okay, thank you. I think there are a few hands up in the audience. I'm not sure if they can ask the question live. So Alfred, can we give access to Alfred to ask a question live?
Hello, hi, can you hear
Hello,
me?
yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Nadeem. My question is about support for services. You know, Egypt has a lot of services that can offer together with the UK in Africa and other parts of the region, like consultancy service, engineering, and these kind of services. How can both export finance, bank on Yasmine's side, and from the UK can support such industries?
Well, I'm happy to connect with you, Alfred, and I'm very excited to answer your question because that's a very broad or modern mindset, because experts are not only goods, but experts should be services as well. Technology is a service, education is a service, medical support is a service as well, in addition to construction, for example. It is a service that is conducted in other territories. So exporting these services is on the radar, because if you look at most of GDP of the United States, for example, it is concentrated in technology, for example. So exporting services is key for any economy to grow, and to grow in a very modern way. So we are looking into these sectors and nurturing any opportunity that comes into our path, because we believe it is the future. So if your question is related to a specific sector among the ones I've mentioned, please elaborate so that we can discuss it.
Yasmine, you know, we're working in transport and logistics, and we get now a number of calls for African countries and even in the Middle East and UAE, Oman, and Saudi to export our service expertise and experts from Egypt for projects, studies, designs, work supervision, and project management. So all these are services that also we need support.
What type of financial support would you need for this sector?
We definitely letters of guarantees.
Guarantees?
Yes.
You need cross-border guarantees.
Yes, we need insurances. What we also sometimes we found entities over there, so capital investment finance and things like that.
Well, that's a very interesting subject that you are bringing, because we believe that Egyptian service providers are mature enough to grow cross-border, and we are there to help them. I think the constraint here would be the country where they want to develop or to explore, the legal entity through which you are going to provide the service, hence the financing structure is tailored. So I'm happy to explore this opportunity and see how we can help you on this front and help you export your service, which is a very, very interesting subject.
Thank you, Yasmine. And Mohamed, if you can also
Yeah, sure. Hi, Alfred.
because we also work with UK companies. We do this triangle of
yeah, sure. So
Egypt, Africa. So it might be helpful if you can also support.
Definitely we can support, and as I mentioned, services will be considered or counted as a UK content in the project. So if the UK content is in the form of consultation, designing, engineering services, this will be counted as a UK content. If you want the finance for only the service contract from UK to Egypt or to another country, we're happy to finance it as a contract separately. Financed, so it's fully supported.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's take another question from Ahmed Sirsi. Can you please give him access to ask the question live? Ahmed, go ahead, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ahmed Sirsi, Head of Data and Structural Finance, National Bank of Egypt. I'm asking Mohamed regarding, do you have a program or product that allow SMEs clients or for a certain amount to have a vendor facility or supply facility? This is a question number one. Or having another product or product that facilitates the process of ECAs, as you know that project finance for the assessment of ECAs and the due diligence and the environmental, it take long time. So do you have a certain amount? For example, we are working with other ECAs. They told us if you can have a facility up to 10 million euro as a supplier facility or without detailed due diligence or something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. So for project finance, we typically require at least a transaction of $50 million to be commercially feasible. As you mentioned, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of assessment and due diligence. So, and the cost of assessment is high. So it's not by book, but we typically see that starting $50 million, it's worth the work. I mean, and even for banks, for commercial banks that work with us, they agree that starting 50 million is a logic number. For supplier credit for SMEs, we're happy to support SMEs if they have a sound financials and solid financials. I mean, not startup. We don't support startups, but if they have 3 years financials with a good performance, we're happy to support either in buyer credit or supplier credit facility.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you, Mohamed.
No problem.
Thank you. So a question from the chat. Good morning from the UK. The biggest problem we have found in Egypt is the government authority no longer wants to guarantee sovereign finance. UK export finances projects will not be guaranteed as stated by the Minister of Finance. Reason given the Egyptian debt is skyrocketed and not a political strategy currently. So you want to answer that?
So as I mentioned, we're open to all structures. So sovereign structure is one, corporate finance or project finance is one, if they are meeting the criteria of project finance. So we're happy to support even without sovereign guarantee. And we know that sovereign guarantee is not common right now in Egypt.
So in summary, the project would need to be well articulated on a standalone basis with sufficient sources of foreign currency to rely on the project's cash flow as opposed to support from the sovereign. That's one element of looking at it. The other element, of course, is UK Export Finance is very much open to support the private sector as well. Not only the government, but also like local corporates and Egyptian companies. So moving to the following question, to you, Mohamed, there has been some demand for concessional finance. How do you see the appetite for providing concessional finance, particular for ESG projects?
So yeah, there are a lot of demand for concessional finance, and we can see that. Unfortunately, we don't offer concessional finance as ECA. We offer only commercial finance. As I mentioned, for ESG and clean growth projects, we can reach up to 22 years plus construction period. What we can do is to work with other financial institutions, other multilaterals, to offer blended finance for projects. So the concessional finance will not be available all the time and may not cover the whole project. So we work with other financial institutions to offer blended finance, which will bring down the cost of finance as a whole. So that's what we can do. There are a lot of discussions in the UK in terms of availing concessional finance through UKEF or other governmental arms, but this is still discussions in early stage. We don't know how it will end.
Okay, thank you, Mohamed. I think we have time for 2 more questions, so we'll take one from the chat and one live. So let's start by the live question from Tariq Abdel Shahid. If you can give him access, please. Tariq, go ahead.
I see.
Hello, can you hear us? Okay, I think let's move to another question until Tariq resolves his connection issues. So a question from Omnaya Bekhit to Mohamed. This question is on behalf of a reputable Egyptian contractor. The possibility of supporting a project being established in Egypt with an Egyptian EPC contractor. Is it mandatory for the 20% UK content? What kind of guarantees will be required from the project company, and how can you support Egyptian content?
So the possibility of supporting project being established in Egypt, definitely there is a possibility, and we have the appetite. Is it mandatory? Is it mandatory for the 20%?
Tariq, can you mute yourself, please? Okay, go ahead.
Is it mandatory for 20% UK content? Yes, it is the minimum UK content we require for a project. And if you satisfy the 20% UK content, we will finance the whole project. We will not finance the UK content only. So the project itself will be financed in a full. The guarantees we require from the project company, it depends. It depends on the project, it depends on the feasibility study, on the financial modeling, who will be the borrower, will it be the SPV of the project, or it will be a corporate finance on one of the shareholders. So it depends on the project structure and finance structure. We will require some guarantees, or maybe it's a clean finance on the project itself. So it depends. Just share the information with us. The UK content we will work with you to satisfy. and the finance structure and the guarantees required will be in a later stage as the conversation progress.
Thank you, Mohammed. Tariq, do you want to ask your question now? Okay, let's move to Hassan El Hosseiny. If you can give him access, please, to ask the question live.
Hi, this is Mohamed Ibrashi from National Bank of Egypt, the head of advisory services, and I have a question regards the Ministry of Finance granting guarantees or sovereign guarantees from our country with regards to like project finance. Can we deal from the perspective of ECA finance, deal as project finance rather than a sovereign guarantee? Is it necessary to have a sovereign guarantee in addition to the project finance?
No, it's not a must. So as I mentioned, we're open to different financing structures. Sovereign is one of them. And to be honest with you, the most straightforward. So in terms of time, it will take less time to conclude, but we're open to project finance. If the project is viable and bankable, we're open to that. We're open to corporate finance as well, if the balance sheet of the company can service the debt. So we're open to all finance structure. Sovereign guarantee is not a necessity, and we work with corporate as well, with private sector. So we don't lend only governments, we lend corporate as well.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mohammed and Yasmina. I think we're over with our time, so I would like to thank you both for joining us today and for your valuable input and insights. It's been very interesting to understand what you offer and how you can support Egyptian companies expand into markets or access competitive financing solutions. I hope that after this webinar, companies attending today would have a better understanding of your institution's offering and would feel more comfortable in seeking your services. I'm already getting requests for both of your emails. Finally, I would like to thank BEBA for arranging this webinar. Thank you for everyone who has joined today, and goodbye.
We can have another follow-up webinar,
Sure.
like, I believe, because the questions were very interactive, and I believe people have a lot of questions to ask, and both of you are excellent speakers, and you're an excellent moderator, Nadeem. So if you'd like, we can have, in a month or two, we can organize a follow-up webinar.
That's a good idea for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you all. I don't know if I may ask you, Nadia, you can share my email address with the attendees via email. That would be appreciated, and happy to have a conversation with anyone offline. Thank you.
We'll be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thanks, Nina. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.